it is Black Monday where a lot of coaches lose their jobs. One who hasn't, and of course is in all the headlines, is the legendary Bill Belichick. And, Belichick was asked about, today he spoke about, his job security. And obviously he's not the most loquacious guy when it comes to speaking to the media. But here's what he said about that.
I'm under contract, do what I always do, which is, every day I come in, work as hard as I can to help the team in whatever way I can.
Wondering if you've given any serious thought to relinquishing the personnel, maybe some of the draft responsibilities.
Look, I'm for whatever, collectively we decide as an organization is the best thing to help our football team. I have multiple roles in that, and I rely on a lot of people to help me in those responsibilities. If somebody's got to have the final say, I have it. I rely on a lot of other people to help, and whatever that process is, I'm only part of it.
All right, Rob. So what's your take on this? You think this should be Belichick's, or he should be done with the Patriots, whether it's them or him making the move?
Well, this guy, Bill Belichick, sounded like a guy who's willing to change. And if he's willing to change, Chris, and I'm the Patriots, I would keep him. If he's going to coach and he's going to, let us buy the groceries and bring in a GM and relinquish some things and maybe, have a traditional offensive coordinator and whatnot, I'm way open. If this guy it's my way or the highway. We've been doing it this way forever. We won 6 Super Bowls. I'm not changing this late in the game. No, I'm not doing it. Then I don't want him. If I'm the Patriots, do I want the all-time winningest coach to be a Patriots coach? Sure I do. Do I want him to go and have that celebration elsewhere? No, I don't. But he has to be willing to bend. It's not the coaching stuff, Chris, that gets him in trouble. It's the other stuff that I believe. He can coach. We know that.
Well, remember, he is going to have, be in charge of his staff.
No, I get that. But as not being the GM, though, there are other things you have to give up. Okay, the GM, and this is it. Not a de facto GM, Chris. Put somebody in there and Bill's still making the decisions. If you go get a real GM that said, Bill, let's work together. We want you to get the record. Let's turn this team around. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he's willing to do that, Chris, then I'm willing to work with Bill Belichick. You could go ahead and say, well, we'll just start over, we'll get another coach or whatever. You remember the Patriots, and I remember the Patriots before Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. A lot of people don't remember that. They were god-awful. Right. It ain't automatic that you make a change and you're going to be winning again. It ain't automatic. There are 20 teams in the NFL who you could make changes, Chris, and still making changes. That's all.
No, I hear you. And there was a point where I agreed with you that if he gives up the GM duties.
Yeah, you did say that. I remember that.
Yeah, that he, it'd be fine with him coaching. And he's arguably the GOAT. I mean, really. I would never try to take away his accomplishments, unless something comes out about where it was egregious cheating going on throughout, that dynasty. And I'm not gonna, even though I feel like if I had to choose Brady or Belichick as most responsible, I choose Brady, but give Belichick a ton of credit. I still respect those 6 championships, and no one, Rob, wins Super Bowls without great players. So I'm not, trying to diminish Belichick's accomplishments because they're legendary, to say the least. But Rob, it is a fact that he hasn't had really any success without Tom Brady. And I don't think it's coming in New England, even as just a coach. I agree. I'd rather have him just coach than be both. But I'm ready to move on if I'm New England. I just really am. I think they need a fresh start. I think if they get I don't want him with a young quarterback. Like if they use this draft pick to take Drake May, Jalen Daniels, I don't see Williams falling, Caleb Williams falling. But if he somehow did, I don't want Belichick being in control of that. And obviously he did a great job with Brady. He did help make Brady, become what he did. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I think the way he handled Mac Jones, Rob, a lot of it's on Mac just not being that good.
No, but he didn't do a good job.
I mean?
And the offensive coordinators and Matt Patricia. There's a lot of stuff, Chris, but that's where you got to reel him in. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he sounds contrite. Would you say that?
Well, he certainly sounded more contrite than I expected.
I'm shocked by
that.
But
I also think, Rob, that I'm not so certain. It wasn't a definitive look for me to, and maybe some of it's the way he says it, right? He doesn't really say things definitively like that, at least with the media. But I'm not so sure, Rob, that he gave a definitive statement on, hey, if it means me not being the GM and just coaching, I'm cool with that. Like, I just think, he talked a lot. We didn't even hear the whole thing. He talked about, hey, we all have our different roles. I get input from other guys, and there's a lot of people involved in it. He says somebody has to have the final word. If we all decide, that it, can go a different way. I just think it was, you know what I mean? I think he left a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah, but he's not going to say, I'm just saying, Chris, you've been in the building for 20-some-odd years. You had a lot of success and all that. So you're not just going to say, oh, yeah, whatever they decide, I'm just going to go along with it. That's not going to come out of his mouth. I mean,
that's kind of what he said.
No, but
I don't think he said it definitively enough. And maybe you're right. Like, maybe you don't come out in the press conference.
Do you know what I mean?
And
just say, like, oh, yeah, whatever they decide, I'm just along for the ride. This guy's going to go down.
I mean, he kind of was saying that. If you listen to the whole thing, he kind of was saying that. And look, Mike Florio had an interesting take, Rob, on Pro Football Talk, which I agree with on this one. Florio was like, Belichick kind of made it clear, I am not, like, you guys going to have to fire me. I'm not stepping down.
He's not doing that, right?
I'm not, and here's the other thing, though, Rob. I'm not, now he didn't say these words out of his mouth, but you can,
What, he's not agreeing to a trade, right?
Right. I'm not going along with a trade. And here's the thing, Rob. Why would he or should he? Because if, let's say, hypothetically, they want to trade him to the Chargers, but they're going to want picks in return. So why would Belichick go to a Chargers team that's depleted of some assets? Right. You know what I mean? So he is smart. I don't know if he's being this, I don't know what his motives are. But it looks like possibly he's like, look, you're going to have to fire me. And he knows, right? You and I have talked about, man, how do you fire Bill Belichick? 6 championships. But he may just be like, they know how bad that would look. They know how uncomfortable that would be. They know I've been essentially the only success they've had as a franchise as a head coach. Like, are they really going to do that? I'm not going to make it easy on you. I'm not cooperating in a trade. So if you're going to fire me, then fire me. I mean, there may be some of that there too. I don't know, but I am at this point. Rob, and it's nothing against his personality or anything. I just think it's time. I think it's really time to move on. I'm wavering on my take about never firing Bill Belichick. I just think it's not. I don't think it's going to get any better. You're right. The defense is going to be great, but unless and maybe Rob, and I know this guy is not a good head coach, but if Josh McDaniels was the offensive coordinator, maybe he's the one that got him to the playoffs or helped him get to the playoffs with Mac Jones as a rookie. He obviously was there for Brady.
Yeah, if I'm the Patriots, I don't want him as head coach. I don't want.
No. Josh McDaniels would be the OC, and Belichick would be the head coach. I'm just saying Bill O'Brien hasn't worked. Obviously, I mean, the other guys he brought in there it was crazy.
Yeah,
Matt Patricia.
I just think if he's honestly willing to work with you and be coach and give up those other duties, and we've seen that happen, Chris, with some coaches where they finally decide, okay, I'm not going to have both roles. You know what I mean? I can't remember. There's a couple of coaches who gave up the GM. Remember, it's just too much work.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing, though, Rob. Do you, practically speaking, I mean, Bill Belichick is larger than life in the NFL. Is it even possible for someone to really come in and have the authority over Bill Belichick? Are people in the building going to still look to Belichick as kind of the guy?
I think the guy could have, depending on who you hire. You don't have to hire a kid, Chris. Somebody with some credibility, right? Guy with credibility. And then the thing that he would have working in his favor is that things haven't been great in New England the last couple of years. Sure okay, it ain't like you're coming in and Bill just won 3 Super Bowls in a row. Ain't nobody listening to you. Right? Things have been bad.
Yeah, this is really, it's going to be interesting. It is really going to be interesting to see how because I could be wrong. I just don't see it getting better under Belichick. I think just start fresh with everybody. If you draft a quarterback, have a young coach that you think, at least in theory, will be with him, an OC and a head coach who will be with him for the next 5, 7, 10 years, whatever it might be, at least in theory. Because Belichick, too, even if you get a young quarterback, Rob, I mean, how much longer is Belichick going to coach?
Until he gets the record.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's 71. He'll be 72 in April. And so, it's a tough decision. It's going to be interesting. And I'm going to say this finally before we go, Rob. If I'm Belichick, and I get it, he's comfortable in New England. It's where he's become what he is. But if he has designs on winning another Super Bowl, which I'm sure he does, I would love to go somewhere else that's got the quarterback. We talked about the Chargers, or, obviously he wouldn't get traded to the Bills, but if he got fired, if I'm the Bills and we get beat in the playoffs, I'm looking at him. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.